Well, I would say Benavidez, but he's too, that weight class is too high for him. So, where he's at now is great.
David, do you think Crawford will fight you if he beats Canelo?
Nah, I wouldn't fight Crawford. I'm at 175.
And Terence Crawford.
No,
we ain't doing that fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts?
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts.
Coach Brian Bomack. McIntyre stirred up a storm after the fight when he was asked about Turki Alalshikh's suggestion that Terence Crawford and David Benavidez should face off next. Bomack immediately dismissed the idea, saying Crawford didn't need that kind of matchup.
We need to sit for a minute and then, just like I said, get back in the gym and do our thing.
Honest? Absolutely.
And he don't want to.
He also made it clear to fans that facing Jaron Boots, Ennis wouldn't help Canelo either, because Crawford is an entirely different kind of fighter, a whole different animal compared to Ennis.
Performance prove about the Ennis sparring. You guys were largely
I told you it don't make no difference. Didn't I say it? I said that don't mean shit. I don't give a damn about that. I said that, didn't I? In one of those interviews, I said that. Don't mean shit. Because he's no Bud Crawford. I'm not taking nothing from Ennis, Boozy, them over there, them my guys. Shit, but bringing in that, which is good for Canelo, but it didn't do no good in the fight.
The whole Benavidez situation began when Turki Alalshikh, a major figure in Saudi boxing, tweeted just hours after Crawford's massive victory. Congratulations to Terence "Bud" Crawford on his historic win and for securing the undisputed super middleweight title. He's now the first boxer in history to be undisputed in 3 different divisions. Big respect also to Saul Canelo Alvarez for putting on a great show. Then, hinting at his next possible move, Alalshikh asked a question that sent social media into a frenzy. Can David Benavidez still make 168 pounds? Trainer Greg Hackett spoke out about the sudden talk of a Crawford versus Benavidez fight. He said nothing was official and that the rumors seemed to be driven more by money and attention than fairness. Hackett pointed out that Crawford didn't need Benavidez to prove anything, and that Benavidez would be hurting his own body trying to cut back down to 168 after moving up to 175.
His limits. And they think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in at 175.
Hackett went on to explain why the supposed back and forth between Crawford and Benavidez was mostly just hype. In his view, Turki Alalshikh was using the buzz to showcase his promotional skills. Still, Hackett admitted that a fight like that could be exciting if it ever truly materialized.
Benavidez had some tough tasks in front of him that he wanted to conquer before even talking like that. I don't even think he wanted to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was the man at 68 and he was at 68. I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud cared about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. So Turkey trying to show he got a golden.
One big question fans had was whether Crawford could actually move up and weight again. Some experts claimed he was already a 4-division world champion, but that wasn't entirely true. Showbiz the Adult, a boxing analyst and YouTube commentator, often questioned whether Crawford's resume truly warranted all the attention. Critics have long argued that Crawford hadn't faced enough elite-level opponents or proven himself against the very best.
Is top 4 greatest fighters of all time. Do you understand how improbable this is? I thought Bud had no chance. I lost 20 grand. Not only is Terence Crawford on my Mount Rushmore, like I've said, if he were to win, because the probability of him winning against all the odds, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see how.
However, that narrative changed with this historic win, one that saw one of boxing's biggest stars crumble under pressure. Crawford forced even his harshest critics to rethink his legacy. Moments after the fight, the cameras captured that transformation in real time, preserving it forever.
Put together. That guy, he can face anybody in history and be a problem. Him right there. Not only that, I think this cements the fact that everybody avoided him. This right here answers everything. Not only is Terence "Bud" Crawford on my Mount Rushmore, but everybody avoided him. And that sheds more light on how he beat Errol Spence.
To become the first boxer ever to hold all 4 major belts in 3 separate divisions, Crawford had to move up to 168 pounds and conquer them all. No one else has ever done that. Even if he's not technically a 4-division undisputed champion, his accomplishments are still remarkable. Many fans were stunned when Canelo Alvarez took the microphone at the post-fight press conference and, instead of making excuses, praised Crawford and admitted that Bud was simply the better man that night.
Contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence "Bud" Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
Veteran boxing journalist Dan Rafael shared his take on the fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Having covered the sport for decades, Rafael said what impressed him most was Crawford's ability to completely take over the later rounds. He noted that Canelo had started strong early on, but Crawford's control down the stretch made all the difference.
I thought it was close. I had Canelo ahead in the early going, but I thought Crawford did an amazing job closing that fight down in the last few rounds, where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant...
Rafael's comments only strengthened Crawford's case for greatness, highlighting how historic this win truly was. He said Crawford never even wanted this matchup at first, but deep down, he always dreamed of it and worked tirelessly to make it happen. According to Rafael, Crawford had rarely been given the chance to fight someone naturally bigger, mostly because many doubted such a fight was even possible.
He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him, said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that. Canelo, because everybody who has ever read me, followed me, listened to me knows I love Canelo. I think he's one of the greats of all time. I think you can make a really good argument that he's the greatest Mexican of all time, even more than Chavez. That said, he is in decline. He's been in decline for the last few years. He hasn't been what we've seen him at his best since he beat Caleb Plant, that Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Sanders time frame. And, even though he's winning fights, the knockouts haven't happened. He's gotten tired in the later part of the fights, and it's just common. It's the oldest saying in boxing: "Father Time is on."
Respected boxing reporter and ringside commentator Sean Zittel weighed in on Crawford's growing fame after defeating Canelo Alvarez. Zittel said he's always known how skilled Crawford was, even naming him the pound-for-pound best fighter back in 2017. But he admitted he had never before placed Crawford in the same category as boxing's all-time legends.
#1 pound for pound back in 2017. I always acknowledged him as the best counterpuncher in the game, one of the great counterpunchers. But I didn't see him as Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson. I didn't see him as that. I saw him as the tier of greats right below that. Oscar, Shane, Mike McCallum, guys like that. And it turns out, no, he's with the best of the best.
Zittel then broke down Crawford's technical brilliance during the fight. He pointed out how effortlessly Crawford absorbed Canelo's power shots and showed unmatched durability at super middleweight. Zittel said Canelo lost his rhythm as the fight went on, while Crawford's sharp jab and precise timing in the middle rounds completely shifted the momentum in his favor.
Effect on Crawford, I know Crawford felt it, but he had good punch resistance. He came up in weight beautifully. And then as time went on, his jab and his length, it's around that 3rd and 4th round, really started to give Canelo fits. And then, #1, his bread and butter, his gift. Yes, he's got great tactics, great distance control, efficient footwork. He doesn't, and he took the air out of the ball when he wanted to in this.
Before the fight, everyone expected Canelo Alvarez to use his size, experience, and strength to dominate. As a longtime champion, he knew how to handle pressure, and his power at super middleweight was unquestioned. After the loss, Canelo took to Instagram to speak directly to his fans. Rather than making excuses, he accepted the defeat with humility. He reflected on his team's efforts, the sacrifices they made, and expressed gratitude to his family and supporters. He also thanked his wife, Fernanda, for standing by him through it all, writing, "I'm proud of everything I've accomplished. Of course, you always want to win, but I'm grateful for what I've learned." My team, my family, and my friends. That's what makes me a winner. Meanwhile, Terence Crawford showed rare emotion at his post-fight press conference, clapping back at critics and laughing off a reporter who had mocked him in the past. This wasn't just about the fight. It was about rewriting the story the media had told about him for years.
A 3-time undisputed champion, the first ever in the 2, 3, or 4 belt era, and you became the second undisputed champion in 3 weight classes when there was only one champion back in 1938 with Henry Armstrong. That's a lot of stuff.
You hear that? You hear that?
For years, boxing experts and reporters had called Crawford boring, said he couldn't sell tickets, and claimed he fought nobodies. Now, standing atop the sport, Crawford fired back, proving every one of those doubters wrong, on the biggest stage imaginable.
And all of it, it all goes hand in hand.
Can you describe what it all means to you to have, you just made like a whole resume of stuff tonight.
It means a lot to me because, you know, anybody can be a nobody. Like I said, you know, and that's all they say I've been fighting is nobodies. So what can they say now?
When Canelo Alvarez stepped into the ring to defend his titles, everything was on the line. Not just the belts, but his legacy. A loss meant the end of his reign as the king of super middleweight. Crawford went on to win by unanimous decision, becoming the undisputed super middleweight champion. Canelo lost all his belts, and in many eyes, part of his claim to being boxing's undisputed king. Right after the fight, Australian cruiserweight world champion Jai Opetaia praised Crawford, saying he clearly earned the victory and deserved full credit.
Listen, though, too smart. Like, what a technician.
Are you shocked or not?
Not at all. Not at all. That's how I pictured the fight going. So I pictured the fight going that way. Man, impressive. You know what I mean? Coming up from all those weight divisions. Hit and don't get hit. That's the aim of the game. Yeah. Puts him differently in their list, but he's in everyone's list. You know what I mean? He's deserved his respect. He's one of the greats. And that Crawford name, that last name, that's written down in history. So,
Opetaia continued by saying that even though Crawford's rise to this level was recent, his name now belongs among the all-time greats. He added that Crawford has gained deep respect throughout the boxing world, and that his legacy is now permanently cemented in the sport's history.
I was hoping that there was more action coming from Canelo. You know, I'm used to Canelo fighting that way all the time. You know, he tried his best. You know, he always has trouble against movers. I was really expecting them to be more punches, more movement by Canelo. Yeah, I mean, it was a situation where he's, you know, Terence Crawford's a tactician, and he throws combinations and he moves. And then, you know, if you try and exchange with him, he's gone already. So you got to be fast. You got to punch him when he's punching you.
Canelo, however, was nearly impossible to beat unless power played a major role. Early in the fight, Crawford's clean body shots and close-range exchanges clearly had an effect. When asked about the stunning result, former heavyweight champion Lennox Lewis gave an honest answer. He said he enjoyed the fight overall, but felt Canelo didn't do enough. Lewis expected the Mexican star to throw more punches and apply more pressure, noting that Canelo has always struggled against slick, mobile fighters like Crawford.
Like about many times, and I thought that this time he just boxed like he always boxes. And then I felt he couldn't really do nothing against Terence Crawford because Terence Crawford was too quick, too elusive. You know, anybody would find trouble with him, but Canelo couldn't find him. For Canelo to win a round, I say he won about 3 rounds in that fight. I was actually amazed at the way how Terence Crawford moved and, you know, never got hit and threw combinations because that's what you're supposed to do, throw combinations. So he threw combinations. He wasn't trying to knock out Canelo, but he definitely was throwing a lot of punches.
After Canelo's loss, Lewis added that this performance was typical of Canelo, but Crawford's style demanded more urgency. He said Canelo simply couldn't adjust because Crawford's defense, reflexes, and counterpunching were too sharp, making it hard for Canelo to land clean or control the tempo.
It's the morning after the big fight. Crawford Canelo. Shout outs to Crawford. You did it, boy. You did it. For those who still aren't quite sure what they witnessed last night, I'm gonna let you know that you witnessed what is called a notorious boxing clinic. This is everything done right.
Most analysts agreed that Crawford's timing, speed, and ring IQ, not his power, were what broke Canelo down. Crawford made Canelo miss and pay repeatedly, turning the fight in his favor. Keith Thurman, the former unified welterweight champion, called Crawford's performance a masterclass. He said it wasn't just a victory, it was a showcase of elite fundamentals, patience, and composure under pressure. Few believed Crawford could handle Canelo's strength at super middleweight, yet he did it, from start to finish, with complete control.
The notorious hit and don't get hit. That's boxing 101, people. It's actually the definition of boxing. For those who don't know the definition of boxing, it's to hit and not get hit. It's almost like a game of tag, to simplify it for you folks, all right? And yes, Crawford was tagging him, not just with the jab, moving, but he was able to do another key factor, which is
Crawford's win didn't just change who held the belts. It changed the entire narrative of the super middleweight division. At 34, Canelo Alvarez now faces a crossroads. After years of dominance, this loss could mark a turning point. Whether he rebuilds at a new weight or seeks redemption remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, Terence Crawford outboxed, outsmarted, and outclassed one of the sport's biggest names on its grandest stage. When asked about Canelo's famed punching power, Crawford stayed calm. He acknowledged Canelo was strong, but said he'd faced heavy hitters before and felt well prepared for the challenge. Timothy Bradley Jr. weighed in too, saying this fight was about more than titles. For Canelo, it was about legacy, and for Crawford, it was a chance to prove greatness has no limits.
Like, have you been hit by anybody that strong before?
I've been hit harder.
No, in a real fight, not a sparring.
In a real fight. Not Avanesian, but Mean Machine hit harder than Canelo, to me. To be honest.
Terence. Congratulations.
And that's the story. Terence "Bud" Crawford didn't just win a fight, he made history. Against all odds, he stepped up, defied expectations, and proved that greatness isn't defined by size or weight class. Boxing is called the sweet science for a reason. Nights like this remind us why. Skill, heart, and history all came together under the lights. If you enjoyed this epic showdown, don't forget to hit like and share this video with every boxing fan you know. And tell us in the comments, where does Terence Crawford now rank among the greatest fighters of all time? Subscribe and ring the bell, because the next chapter of this story is only getting bigger.